Redditors who married someone with an identical twin sibling. Why are you glad you're not with the other twin instead? My late husband's twin was a non-functioning alcoholic and my husband wasn't. My husband says joining the Navy was what saved him from going down that road. I didn't marry him, but I dated an identical twin. His twin's girlfriend and I used to joke around that she got the evil twin. He was just a selfish, messed up person. One of the benefits of breaking up with my boyfriend was no longer having his twin in my life. Plus, his ex-GF and I are still great friends. I like my wife's personality better than her sister's. The other twin has the same personality as I do. We argue readily and are super competitive towards each other. We butt heads on a lot of issues. I work with a guy who married an identical triplet. One of the triplets also works with us. I asked him one day if it's weird working with someone who looks just like his wife. He got a little pissed and basically said they are all very different people and he doesn't see much of his wife in her. My dad's an identical twin. People have a hard time distinguishing them. But to my mom and me, they look like two completely different people because of the way they walk, talk, etc. Obviously my mom only fell in love with this one person. When you love someone, it's actually pretty easy to tell identical twins apart. What decision by a company received the most amount of backlash from the public? When the Triangle Shirtwaist Company locked the stairwell doors in the garment factory that caught fire and killed 146 women and children workers in 1911. The public outcry led to legislation improving working conditions for factory workers. Anyone remember the Kendall Jenner Pepsi ad when she solved police brutality? Sonic having human teeth. Tumblr removing porn was not a sound decision. Microsoft got roasted when they announced Kinect and Always Online were required for the Xbox One. Took all the momentum they had from the 360 era and put them miles behind Sony. Edit. Kinect. My phone autocorrected it to kinetic. One of the worst most recent decisions was by Delta Airlines to completely revamp the way customers earn status. Traditionally, the more you fly with an airline, the more perks you get. Like the express line at the counter, a better phone number to call for assistance, and the much coveted first-class upgrade. Well, about a month ago Delta changed all that to earning status and perks based on how much you spend, not how much you fly. Now at first glance that seems reasonable. But the thing is, people who spend a lot don't need the perks. They're buying first-class tickets with all the perks bundled in. They're not really looking to gain status with a particular airline because if you're spending $3,000 on a flight, that airline will take care of you regardless. It's the person who is doing multiple flights a month that you need to court. They're willing to take a longer, more expensive, or indirect flight to gain and use the perks. If you make status impossible to get, they will go elsewhere. There's a funny thing about today's airlines. They're really banks that hold a private currency more than they are a transportation business. They make more money off of frequent flyer mile partnerships with credit cards and other external businesses than they do flying planes. So Delta's CEO announces back in September that they have too many people who are too loyal to their business. Imagine that. People are going out of their way to pay more or accept less convenient service so that they can use your product exclusively. And Delta says, "Nah, we don't need you." They introduced the new status plan which makes it impossible for anyone but people who buy first-class tickets to be anything but the lowest tier. Their goal was to actively chase their customers away. The backlash was swift and severe. People canceled their Delta Amex cards en masse, in part because they changed lounge access rules at the same time. Over 1% of the US GDP flows through Delta-branded credit cards. Remember what I said about airlines' real business being banks? Yeah. Well, it bit them in the butt. After a couple of weeks they said, "We screwed up," but they didn't have a replacement plan. Last week they announced the revisions to the new plan, and the status levels are much more achievable for their customer base. It remains to be seen how damaging long-term this will be. Though, you can go to Delta and see how this is still reverberating. What goofy nickname do you give your pets? Herbert, Bertie, Bert, Bort, Bortus, Bortus McTortoise. He's a cat, not a turtle. By the way, my dogs are called Pablo and Pedro. Bad idea lol. So now they're basically both called Peblo, Padro. He was small and his name is Oliver. No matter how big he gets, he will always be Smalliver. My special little boy. I had a cat who, for reasons I cannot explain, I started to call Soldier Boy. Too many. There are new names every day. Her name was Pugsy, also known as Pugsius Maximus, the Puginator, Pugawudja and Flathead. She was not a pug. She was a cat. Himalayan, probably cross with something else, who knows what. She was adopted and lived to the ripe old age of 18. She hunted mice that died of old age like none other and prowled birds that definitely didn't know. She was there before she gave up halfway and started to groom herself instead. She liked flat things and watching paint dry. Her hair was the stuff of legend. Some say to this day you can still find her white fur floating in the wind or in your clothes. If you are lucky, you too might see a strand floating off your t-shirt into a KFC fryer while you make an order. Whenever you see that puffy grass that forms those little ball shapes, say hello to Pugsy. That's her spawn. What are some signs that you are getting old? When you have to scroll an insultingly large amount of time to find your birth year on an online form. When you realize there is a whole year in your past that has no particular memories. Once you get settled in a routine that spans multiple years of living in the same place, working the same job, there aren't markers that help you remember the years anymore like there were in school. Suddenly you're unable to remember anything that you are certain happened in 2015 because that year was the exact same as the 2 years on either side of it. I'm not asked if I have a girlfriend by someone I recently met. They never even question whether I'm a parent. They inquire about my child count. College adults look like high schoolers and high schoolers look like kids. Face exhaling. When I realized I wasn't pop culture's target demographic anymore. 40 is a weird age. Everyone older says you're so young. Everyone younger thinks you're so old. What kids movie do you actually rate as a good movie for anyone? Iron Giant. Willow. Loved it as a kid. The beasts in the castle near the end scared the shit out of me. Shrek has fun for all ages. Shrek 2 was the best of the series. Matilda. Hits many different levels. The Incredibles. The Emperor's New Groove. Subscribe, my brothers.